Hey everyone, this is Nitro. In this video, I wanted to highlight a few of the more interesting battles I had in Apex Arena over this weekend. Now, I already did a video over my qualification matches, so I'm going to skip those battles. But after that, I actually ended up doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 additional battles. Those 6 battles, I think it was 2 wins and 4 losses. But to be fair, one of the reasons I didn't stream was because the first 3 battles I lost in a row because I was testing out various things with my team formation, right? Because I already had finished my qualification matches, I was at 1600 points and I knew any losses would not cost me any points at that time because of rank protection. So what I ended up doing was I began testing out using various other characters, like once again trying to use Sakura, who was a mercenary last week, along with Leon, right? In hopes of trying to faction buff Sakura. Didn't really work. I also tried using, let's say, swapping between all my healers, Imelda, Tierras, Liana, Chloe, and Iris, switching them around. And I also tried using Shafaniel, which also because I wanted to try to see if Shafaniel, with her providing another princess faction buff, could fit into this party reasonably well. So I was testing out various things. All 3 matches where I was testing things out were losses, so I guess it didn't really work. But in any case, despite that, I thought I would go over some of the more interesting battles in these 6. And actually, most of them were fairly interesting, because once I'm at 1600 points, if I take a look at my ranking, I'm at 1618 points, and I'm currently ranked 157th. So this means basically everyone who is at around 1600 is top 256 players, like players who made Season 1 playoffs. So the battles were all very, very challenging as a result, because you're fighting against other absolutely top level players. So with that said, I thought I would first show off this battle against Gambler Jack, because he has a very, very unique box. So here we go. So let me just pause this. He begins by banning my Zerida, and let's take a look at his box and why it's so unique. He plays a time and space faction. You know, clearly you have to put a lot of money in to be able to play time and space, but that is his primary party, right? For his tanks, it's Estelle and Sumere. For his characters, he's using almost exclusively time and space characters. Renee, Joshua, Chloe, right? Angelica, Leonhardt, Sumere, Olivier, right? The only characters who aren't time and space is Listel, Bozel, Varna, Elwyn, and Sophia. That's it. Everyone else is part of the time and space faction. So he's time and space comboed with, I guess, Dark, and Sophia is here just to rewind as another healer. So very interesting setup. When I was looking at it, I was like, who the heck do I ban? And so I just quickly chose to ban his faction buffers. So I began with Joshua. And I played Landius as my tank, which was, in hindsight, absolutely a mistake, right? Sumere and Estelle are both Lancer tanks. I should not have played a cavalry tank. In any case, he starts off with Sakura. And so I ban his other faction buffer, Angelica, and also ban Listel. And I begin by playing Liana as my second character. I lose Luna and Bozel here, and my opponent plays the first tank, Estelle. On my side, I start banning healers, so Iris and Sophia, trying to remove all his healers. I left him with Chloe, which may have been a mistake looking at this now. Probably should have banned Iris and Chloe. My initial thought was I wanted to get rid of Sophia's rewind. In any case though, I play Lana here. Losing Elwyn and Bernhard now. Infantry class characters. And he plays Chloe, his remaining healer. So I banned Leonhardt and Bozel now at this point and play Imelda. Not sure that was a good choice either. As you see, I brought in Imelda over Chloe, but in any case, he bans my 2 remaining healers, Iris and Tiaris, and plays Olivier, who can provide his whole party with regenerate. Didn't really think of that. And I now ban his Elwyn and Varna, and I play my juggler, and he finalizes off his party with a second tank, Sumere. Hindsight, I probably should have considered getting rid of Varna instead, but regardless, let's just jump into the fight now. So, in the end, he ends up with a very, very AoE oriented team, right? Both tanks are AoE attackers. Sakura has Hakaroran and Okahoshin, both AoE strikes. Olivier has Heartless Requiem, which is another AoE attack. And even Chloe has a Starglow attack, along with Aurora Ring. So, I definitely, I guess, underestimated the AoE power of this team, especially when Estelle is bringing Cheer, which is like it's a weaker version of a faction buff, but still, it does provide some stat increases. So initially, my thought was I'm going to play Summon strategy against him. So I begin by dropping Necromancer, moving Necromancer, dropping Summon Sky Archer. In truth, I don't think my pick ban was actually all that bad overall. The failure though, I think, was probably Imelda. Keep in mind my Imelda is 5 stars. If it was 6 stars, it would be significantly tougher, but at 5 stars, it's still very, very vulnerable. So, in any case, initial setup, just get my characters together, and also Imelda uses mass attack on the characters, which buffs their attack and gives them immunity to silence, and affects that silence active skills. So both sides are just maneuvering initially, but I'm trying to push forward because of NC's the central territory, especially with Juggler. So I just rush forward here. And this is probably where I made that mistake. So he's expecting battle to begin, so he activates Excitation, so that all his characters now have the Regenerate effect. And Sakura was able to charge forward and use Hakaroran. Right. AoE hits with heal reversal effect. So, you can see right there. Look at Imelda. From 7,000 hit points, she's down to 2,000. Just like that. Which just shows how weak my Imelda really is, in a lot of ways. Nonetheless, it's okay. And I just begin by dispelling this group. And then Skyne Staff kills off Imelda, just like that. So, definitely a position error on my part, being too aggressive with Imelda. If I had left her further back, along the line where Lana was, she should have been okay. In any case though, so, Lana then will one-shot Sakura. So, initially it began as a trade, which is overall acceptable. Although now I no longer have ints buffing for Lana. Now, this is where I made the mistake. I forgot Estelle could guard. You see. What I should have done was this attack first, with Landius. I gave my... Because I knew my opponent had Lancer tanks, I purposely changed Landius' skills. And I changed them to bring his faction buff, Indomitable, and Routes. What I should have done there just now was had Landius charge forward and route Estelle, stunning her. Once she's stunned, I could have had Juggler Beast Shock Sumere, potentially killing off Sumere. Actually, guaranteed to kill Sumere, because Sumere did not have Butterfly Dance active, did not have Phoenix Dance active at this time, so she had no revival effect. So that mistake right there cost me this fight. Right. Because now, I don't really have a way to kill him off anymore. So, massive error on my part. Very unfortunate. Oh, that was the other flaw. Sumere survived with 139 hit points just now. So my Lana was just lacking a very, very tiny bit of intelligence from one-shotting this Sumere. Very, very sad. If this was one-shotted, it would have been a different fight. Unfortunately, it did survive. So it shows Lana without her faction buff and with this crit rate minus 30%. Doesn't really matter. So ultimately, it was the lack of the faction buff that really cost me. And the fact that she wasn't at full hit points of the sorceresses when she attacked. If I just go back a step, for example, right, her sorceresses were damaged, so they were doing less damage. So there were multiple reasons why Sumere survived, but I had to make that act in large part because otherwise Sumere could have activated Phoenix Dance and then I would have had no chance to one-shot. So I made a gamble which failed. And then with this Phoenix Dance, I now have absolutely no chance because it will now revive. And especially when he reactivated Estelle. So the interesting thing here is I tried to have Landius kill off this Sumere. And the Phalanx soldiers are so ridiculously tough that a mere 1,131 hit points completely stopped Landius' attack. Not just the Royal Cavalry attack, but Landius' strike too. Nothing had gone through to Sumere. I thought that Landius with 1148 attack would do enough to just smash through these Phalanx and then kill Sumere for the first time, but nope. So, look at that, 508 damage in total. And then now that Estelle is up to guard, it's totally over. I have no way to kill Estelle at this point. And I'm taking multiple AoE attacks. The second AoE attack from Sumere killed off my Lana. It was over. And it killed off Landius too, right? So, very interesting battle. I could have won it if I had, but I made too many mistakes against that team. You know, in large part, the mistakes came from the fact that I'm just not familiar enough with a time and space party, right? I keep forgetting that once Estelle does damage to the enemy, it automatically has a 2-card range. So, unfortunate loss overall, I would say. Definitely could have won it, but you know, interesting match overall, for sure, right? So, other than that battle, let's go on to cover the 3 battles where I had a much more serious party. The first one I'll just skip because it was pretty much a standard Juggler and Landius build on my side. I'll quickly just show the parties, but I'm not going to go over this battle. Not even going to go over the Big Band, in fact. So I'm just going to skip that. And you can see here, on my side, I ended up with Juggler and Landius once again. But this time I had Rene as my mage, who would be faction buffed by Landius. In addition, I had Tieris with Attack Blessing to further increase Rene's damage, and Liana as well with a Summon and Act Again. So, interestingly enough, on Tieris, I actually ended up bringing Shield because I thought I needed Shield for the Healing Negation Immunity buff to try to stop Sword Soul. So that's why I brought that. And Masio. I didn't think I needed Tieris to cast Heal very often. Not with Liana in the mix. So you can see with this party, I would just advance, use the 2 tanks to absorb all the hits from the enemy, use Rene to kill off things, right? Especially because I picked right on her extra skill. I chose Fireball, and look at that. Bernhard had infantry soldiers, Elwyn had infantry soldiers, along with being a Lancer. So, by picking correctly, it made it very easy for me to kill, basically wipe out his team. So, you know, on my side, it was basically tank the hits and then crush, with Juggler able to Beast Shock to either kill off someone else or disable Juggler's guard in general. So it just turned into a battle where I felt I was guaranteed to win, and that's exactly how it played out. Juggler and Landius parties as player 2 is incredibly hard to deal with. So, second battle. These two battles were very, very interesting in that it shows the top level whale meta at this time. I covered this briefly already in the Nitro setup video, which is basically Leonhardt with the new enchant system can potentially get up to around 130 additional attack increase, right? For example, this is worth, I think, 30. This is worth 25, so that's 55. This is worth 15, so that's 55 plus 15, that's 70. And then this is worth 10, so that's 80 attack if you max out every single attack roll from these 4 slots. Arena Mastery can give another 60 attack. 80 plus 60 is a maximum of 140 attack for your Leonhardt, potentially. So, that's led to this new temporary meta, where Leonhardt is going to be the one-shot master of Apex Arena for the first few weeks, especially amongst whales, right? Before you say there's no way people can roll 140 attack, well, keep this in mind. If we go into Ancient Beckoning and take a look at the rewards, or sorry, the achievement list, this is another 8 infantry scrolls, SSR ones. This is another 3. This is another 5. So that's already 16 more, and then they get another 10. So whales basically have an additional 26 SSR mastery items. And if they get a decent number of attack enchants from those, they can roll quite some good attack increases on their Leonhardt, if they so wish. So it's very much led to a situation where Leonhardt can pretty much one-shot parties. Or if not one-shot them, at least demolish them and definitely kill the healer, in my case. So, I'm going to go over the battle where I lost and a battle where I actually won. First one, where I lost, I banned the enemy juggler, and he instantly plays... He bans my juggler, and he instantly plays Leonhardt. I then ban Bernhard and Joshua, faction buffers for Leonhardt, and I try to play my Zerna. He bans my Liana and Iris, and I really should have done the same to him at this point. And he plays Landius. I ended up banning Liana and Chloe though. And I play my Tiaris. He then bans my Landius and Leonhardt. And plays Iris, of course. So, I ban his Zerda and Listel at this point. And play Bozel. Probably a mistake there just now. Probably should have banned Rachel, but in any case. He ends up playing Rachel, of course. And I now ban his Bozel and Luna. And then I'm playing Bernhard. And he ends up playing Sumeri. Right? So, overall, he just has a super meta. Well, we know Yeezy Boost is a whale, so he has the meta party at this time. Right? With basically all the top characters that you would use. And I end up playing Luna. I had a choice between Luna and Imelda, and I just chose Luna because I thought Luna can avoid the AoE attack of Leonhardt, which Imelda cannot on this map. Now, I'm going to admit, I made a whole bunch of positioning mistakes as well, but in the first place, let's take a quick look at his party. Rachel, 5 stars, right? Iris should be 5 stars. This Leonhardt is absolutely 6 stars. Landius, 20% attack increase. This should be 6 stars, Landius. And then Sumere is, I think, 5 stars with the 8% stat increase. So, let's see. So the main thing here though, the main error I really made was Rachel with Gospel can buff up Leonhardt. He has the ability to teleport Leonhardt forward, and the teleport of Leonhardt would allow him to combo with his own teleport to get him really far. In addition, Iris's teleport can also provide plus 20% attack, plus 20% damage dealt, and reduce damage by 20%. And this is where I start making my mistakes in positioning. Because Leonhardt with Balanced Blade can actually reach my characters. Granted, in large part, it was because this Leonhardt activated Breeze. Like, come on, Breeze? But nonetheless, you know, even if it didn't activate Breeze, it would be 4 mobility, which would place it right here, right? And then I would have the opportunity to kind of avoid it, evade it. But with the Breeze activation, it can now move all the way in and hit everyone with Balanced Blade, 3 AoE attack range, Fusion Dark Emperor Sword. So my only counter was to move Tiaris forward to block his movement. So, but despite that, it wasn't enough. I should have moved these characters further. That was my mistake. So, because Dark Emperor Sword, 3 AoE attack range, and then follow that up by moving up, Zero Storm, bam! Tiara is dead. And that ended this fight. So, in large part, it's because my healer was not strong enough. If I go back a step, my Tiaris has 83, 78 hit points, which is pretty strong, but it still wasn't enough. So I need even more hit points than this for Tiaris to survive. It's rough. And well, to be fair, in large part that was because of the instant transfer AoE. That second AoE of 0.1 times damage was what really killed Tiaris. I guess what I should have done was probably place Bernhard here and then leave Tiaris in the back. That would have made the difference, but in any case, yeah. Boom, dead. Yeah. If I had swapped Tiaris in Bernhard's position, that probably would have been the correct thing to do. But I have Zerida wipe out the Leonhardt to start. The biggest problem here though is that Ozol and Luna are so heavily damaged that they're basically dead. So I drop a summon at this point in hopes of doing some turn manipulation. You know, trying anything and everything. But now he teleports Sakura forward. And this is what ends it. Okahoshin. With that attack, Okahoshin, Zerida will now... Oh no, he started with Hakarorin. Okay. But then he will follow up. Sorry, wait. He started with Okahoshin to apply this effect, and he's going to follow up with Hakarorin, which applies all healing effects are turned into damage, and so on. So, with this, I'm now screwed. Because at this point, what will happen is Zerida is going to take damage when she heals, right? And she heals from using her attack with Bloodthirster active. So that's going to kill her off. Even if I attacked at this point and killed something, she was dead. And that means all my whole party was gone. So unfortunately, I got dominated. The biggest flaw, I think, that I made, even after losing Tieris, was doing this summon. Right? By doing that summon, I kept Yeezy Boost as player 1, which let him continue to assault like this. I mean, I don't think I could have pulled a comeback anyways in this fight. The combination of Sakura following up the Leonhardt strike was just too much. But yeah. So this is the current meta, you know. Leonhardt crazy AoEs. If Breeze activates, follow it up with a second AoE attacker, and you're done. And the main thing is to be able to buff up your Leonhardt, which can actually come from Rachel's Gospel, as we just saw here. So that is the current meta, and it's quite frustrating to face. You can beat it sometimes, but it requires a lot of luck and very, very proper positioning. Not the way I positioned was very poor against Easy Boost, so I do know that there is a way to beat it though, at least from now on. I also did beat it, in fact, but this was much more a luck-based victory. So it plays out very similar, where I don't play it, but it's actually slightly different because I actually don't play a healer in this match. Enemy plays Listel first, I play Zerda. He plays Ledin because I've banned his Landius and Juggler. So, and I banned his Liana and Chloe, healers. And then I play Bozel. He continues to ban my healers, Liana and Imelda now, and plays Iris. So Iris is a super popular healer now because of her ability to teleport and buff up that character that is teleported. I ban his Leon and Bozel, and I play Lana. Because I have no tank, I have to ban Leon early. Otherwise, Leon is basically going to kill off one of my characters guaranteed. He bans my Iris and Tieris now, and plays Leonhardt yet again. So I ban his Tieris and Elwyn, and I play Listel, and he bans my Elwyn and Luna, playing Rachel. And I just play Renee. So I have no healers, no tanks. My whole party is dark characters, which I felt would be pretty interesting. And the initial stages is very similar to that first match against Easy Boost. Dropping summons, mispositioning my characters by moving them too far up. Watching my opponent activate Breeze yet again on Leonhardt, and completely underestimating the free range of Leonhardt because I moved Listel into range. And then once again, just like before, he gospels his Leonhardt. And I choose to fashion buff up everyone right away. And he has Iris teleport Leonhardt forward. So with that teleport, look at this. Leonhardt can pretty much attack all the way into my base, even with Lana kind of blocking the way initially. Right? Due to 6 mobility. So I have to move Zerda back, and I have a Bloodthirster. And so I just shift Renee back because there's nothing else I can really do. Despite shifting her back, I didn't shift her back enough, and everyone gets hit by Leonhardt anyways. That Dark Emperor sword with Balance Blade is just insanity, with the sheer amount of attack range it has. Zero Storm AoE with 2 range, wipes out 2 characters in one go, Lana and Renee. Jeez. And applies Reaper's Breath. So, Zerda does one-shot Leonhardt though, but it is still 3 against 4 at this time. So I'm kind of in trouble right there already. But this time, I maintain being able to move first. Right? So, here I drop Mind Bore on the enemies. I was very desperate here at this point. I was hoping Mind Bore would silence them, but then I realized afterwards I brought the wrong skill on my Lestelle. She had Bloody Deluge. So there was no silence effect, although it did apply the cannot be healed effect on them. Interestingly enough, opponent moves Lestelle forward and decides to use Mind Bore instead of Blood Dance. I think the reason for this was because he wanted to be his Lestelle to Blood Dance my Zerda. So this was a huge error on his part because it kept my Bozal alive. So I move Zerda into the corner in the south. And then I have Bozal toss out an Earthquake on these two for now to weaken them. My Bozal should have been dead, but instead he was able to toss out an Earthquake to dramatically weaken these enemies. Lestelle gets healed by Iris, but despite the healing, right, Lestelle is at 11,639 hit points, but it doesn't bring her up to full health. And because of that, Zerda, with Bloodthirster, was able to one-shot Lestelle. She took some Thorns damage, but she lived through it. Iris attacks aggressively, kills off my Lestelle now. But Bozal was able to attack and kill Lennon. And at the same time, stay outside of Rachel's range. Because Rachel was just too far back. She moves up, activates Gospel. It's now 2v2. And I send Bozal to the north to activate Faction Buff because Zerda needed it. So once again, not Blood Dancing when he had that opportunity really cost him. He moves back, activates Heal. The reason he moved back and activated Heal like this was first to heal up his Iris and buff up his Rachel, and most importantly, with my Zerda's mobility, she actually could have moved all the way over here, which is outside of the range of, all the way over here, this tile, and be outside of the range of all of these characters. So November basically wanted to lock down my Zerda, right? So that Zerda could not get the hide and seek effect. But what he didn't realize is that Zerda can still move through Poison Fog at this time. So I'm actually able to move my Zerda all the way up to the north here. And that's what I do. Zerda goes up, activates Bloodthirster in the north. Now, I got lucky here. Breeze activated. And because Breeze activated, I got a total of 9 mobility. Which meant I could attack this Rachel. Now, with that said, even if Breeze did not activate, I would still have 7 mobility. I would still be able to attack Iris and then Sly Stride back 3 tiles to here, and that would still be outside of his Rachel's range. But with the additional mobility, killing off Rachel, that was a guaranteed win. Right? And there we go. So, we can see that the difference between these two battles with November and Yeezy Boost, though, was that, frankly, Yeezy Boost made far less mistakes than November did. And of course, both of them got that Breeze activation on turn 1 to have their Leonhardt do an absolutely crushing attack right on the first turn. But nonetheless, you know, 1 win, 1 loss. And there are ways to counter that, right? You just have to spread out your characters very, very carefully. I did not plan out my character placement at all, and so both times, basically everyone in my party got hit, right? And that's why I lost. Especially in the Yeezy Boost match, if I moved Bernhard as the forward guard, had Tiaris back with Zerda, then no one would have died, and then that would have been a very different match, I think, if he decided to charge in. So, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you found this information useful. These are definitely some interesting battles. I'm definitely learning a lot, but the most important thing I feel is I need to build up my healers, give them more hit points so that they can't get killed by Leonhardts. Once that happens, I can bait out the enemy Leonhardt, lose no characters at all, and then heal up the damage afterwards and win the fight. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and on that note, Nitro out.